If you're not using an all-down sleeping bag, you're not doing it right. The best and only thing you should be using is down. And if you believe that, then you've clicked on the right video, because that absolutely is not true. There's the right tool and the right gear for every situation. So let's talk about why I chose down for my sleeping bag and what our other options are.
So how certain is this?
There's 100% certainty of impact.
Please, don't say 100%.
So we just call it a potentially significant event.
But it isn't potentially going to happen.
99.78% to be exact.
Oh, great. Okay, so it's not 100%.
So let's talk about the different kinds of bags there are. There's down, and then there's a synthetic fill. This is my old North Face sleeping bag. This is a synthetic filled bag. This is 20 years old. It is very heavy in comparison to today's gear, even in comparison to today's synthetic fill. But the school of thought is that synthetic bags tend to work better in wetter conditions, because once down material gets wet, once the feathers actually get wet, they lose 90% of their insulating value. So growing up in Utah, I was always told, don't get down, get synthetic. When it's cold, you're gonna get wet and then you're gonna freeze to death, which is true. Being in a down anything, once it gets wet, it's really dangerous, especially if the temperatures are cold. But what I have found is that I didn't realize how much I actually enjoyed down. Synthetic bags are great. There are a lot of people out there that choose to use synthetic for several different reasons. They don't like the way feathers fill. They have something against feathers in general. My wife is one of those people. Maybe they're allergic to down, so they've decided to go and try something different. I think, there's a lot of hikers out there that just can't use down, and there are a lot of really good synthetic products out there. Most of the companies that make a really good down bag are gonna make a synthetic bag. But I can tell you, to get to the same warmth ratio, you're gonna have to carry a much heavier synthetic bag, which is why I chose to go with the REI Magma 15. This bag is $3.99 on the REI website right now. Again, I know there are a lot of REI haters out there. I personally love this company. If I have a problem with this bag anywhere where there's an REI, I can take it back and they'll help me with it. They'll fix it. This is lifetime guaranteed. I'm a huge supporter of a lot of the stuff REI does, as long as you know what you're looking for. I did a lot of research going into this bag, and the reason I chose this is because it is tested for its lowest limit. This is a survival rating of 16 degrees. What that means is you are not going to be comfortable. You're going to survive at 16 degrees. But where this bag is comfortable is 28 degrees and above, which is, not really what it gets down to. In the middle of the night here, it's gonna drop to 20 degrees. We're also not below zero like a lot of places. But that again, when you see a temperature rating, there are lots of different values in there. So make sure you understand when it says 16 degrees, that is what you could survive in. I don't think you'd sleep. I think you'd just shiver. But this bag is a super stellar bag. It is 850 weather resistant down, which means that the feathers inside of it have been sprayed with a filament of some sort to try to keep them from holding moisture. And the bag itself is a 15 denier ripstop nylon, and it compresses down to 5.7 liters. So this bag, for what it weighs, which is, let's see, 1 pound and 12 ounces, or 28 ounces total, compresses very, very small. For what it does warmth-wise, you're talking in the synthetic, for example, you would probably be over 2 pounds easily, 2.5 pounds to try to get something that could get this low. And it compresses very, very small. But with it being down, you do need to make sure that it doesn't get wet. You have to make sure that you keep it dry. So when this is transporting inside of my backpack, it's inside of a dry bag, and I just squish it really, really small because it gets teeny. And then I put that dry bag inside of my pack liner It will handle most of the condensation that comes off of your tent, those types of things. So ultimately, this is really awesome. This also was all sourced responsibly. So this is really, really well done, and I'm really happy. This is the second best purchase that I have made this year as far as gear goes. Your sleep system is super important. If you're not getting good sleep, you're gonna have a miserable backpack trip. So I've really, really enjoyed the Downs sleeping bag. Oh, the other thing that's really nice about this bag is it has its insulation is the same on the bottom as on the top. There are a lot of bags out there that will cut weight by reducing the amount of insulation in the back part of the sleeping bag, the part that you sleep on. So if you're like me and you're a side sleeper and you roll and your bag goes with you, if you have one of those bags that has less fill on your backside, you're gonna get cold. So with this bag, I can actually roll sideways in it, and the down on the top is the same as the down on the bottom. Whereas some of the lighter weight bags will have that less down. So if you roll over and your bag goes with you, the backside of you will get cold. So the way to combat that is make sure that if you do get a bag like that, that you get the right size and that you're able to turn inside of the sleeping bag and the sleeping bag does not move with you. A lot of bags also have places where you can attach to your sleeping pad and things like that. When I do roll on my side in this, it does stay down, but if I did tip over and I moved a little bit, the bottom side of me stays as warm as the top side, which is really important. All right, next thing, let's talk a little bit about sleeping pads. So this is my old Mountain Hardwear foam cell pad. It's extremely heavy. It's a 3/4 pad, and I used it for 20 something years. This is one of the very first sleeping pads I ever got. It's really awesome. It's not comfortable. It is not for an old man. It is for somebody that really wants very minimal. And again, it's got a shell on top of it over the foam. You could take all that off if you wanted to, but this is what I started with. Then I moved to the Big Agnes inflatable pads. I have 2 of these. Neither one of them has been able to hold air in cold temperatures. I think it's probably just something with the valve. I have not been very impressed. I bought these, and then I ended up going back to my Mountain Hardwear pad just because these things deflated on me, and there's no leaks in them. I've tried everything to get them to work, but this thing was old trusty until I started to get a little older. I also am a side sleeper, and I have never been able to sleep on my side while on a backpack trip. Until recently. So your sleeping pad is a super important piece to keeping you warm in cold temperatures. You need to check the R value on your sleeping pad, and you need to make sure it's one of the standard R values, because a lot of companies use their own research to do these things, and they don't quite give you the true R value. Maybe we'll do a video on that later, but just something that's worked, needed to be changed. That's where I moved to this. This is the Nemo Tensor Insulated Wide Long. This pad is a little bit heavier than most, but it is the single best piece of gear I have bought this year. I have never really slept very comfortably in the backcountry until purchasing this pad. It is 3 inches thick. I can sleep on my side for the first time ever, and I don't wake up with bruises on my hips like I used to with my old foam cell pads. Putting your backpack on with bruised hips from sleeping on your side is a really hard thing to do.
Save my life. Tink, dear Tink, pretty darling.
So this has improved my backpacking experience 100 times. It is so simple. It's a little bit bigger. I did go with the wide because I roll around a lot. I wanted to make sure that I stayed on my pad. I didn't lose it while I was sleeping, because once you touch the ground, all the insulation goes away, and you're going to give your heat to the ground, and the ground is going to give your cold, or give its cold to you. That's one of the nice things about this pad, is that it does have an insulation layer in it. Right in the middle, it's got kind of one of those Mylar blanket type things, and it makes sure that the cold stays down and your heat reflects back to you. My boy Steve Wallace, Camping with Steve, if you haven't checked out his videos, please do. He puts his pad inside of his sleeping bag I do not agree with that, but you do you, boo. Just stay alive out there, okay? I think your pad does a better job insulating you below, and your sleeping bag actually gives you all of that extra warmth to trap in. And I think sometimes if you put this inside your bag, you lose what it's supposed to do. That's my personal opinion. Everybody does their own thing. But when it comes to staying safe out there, make sure that you're really careful with this stuff. And also really understand that there is no one gear for everything. You have to have different stuff. This bag is great. I took it into Canyonlands, into the Needles District on a backpacking trip, and it dropped down to 23 degrees, and I stayed toasty warm. But that is because I also purchased this. This is the Sea to Summit Thermal Fabric Reflector Compact Plus. This thing is one of the best purchases I've ever made. Sea to Summit claims that this will increase your bag by 20 degrees. I don't think it'll go quite that far, but I can tell you that by using this and my down bag in 23-degree weather, I needed to unzip my sleeping bag in the middle of the night to cool off a little bit. It is so simple. I never ever thought I would want a sleeping bag liner. I always had this idea that I was going to get like tangled up inside of them. But this thing has been outstanding for me. I did not get tangled up in it at all. It is so thin you can see through it. But it does an amazing job. I bet you it added about 15 degrees, and I'm not even kidding. And this isn't even their most like winter dedicated. The other thing that's really great about this is that it helps keep the dirt and grime that really can destroy your sleeping bag. If you're not washing your down sleeping bags or even your synthetics, figure out how to do it. Do it right, because if you don't do it correctly, you will ruin your sleeping bag. So do some research, figure out how to do it.
No. Gertrude says Gertrude ever gotten anything right. I mean,
But this just helps keep the dirt and grime out of the bottom of it, and this is really easy to wash. I don't have to worry about damaging all my down and just being able to pull this out. I would highly recommend it. And like I said, I thought I was gonna get all twisted and tangled inside of it, and I did not. It was great. When I unzip my sleeping bag in the morning to get ready, that, you know, everyone hates waking up first thing in the morning and getting out of their sleeping bag. I stayed inside of this while I kind of putzed around and got all my stuff ready to go, and I actually stayed warm. And as I looked down, I was actually steaming through this thing. It was keeping me so warm. It was so great. Highly recommend a liner. As you can see, I have every kind of bag. I've tried a bunch of different equipment. And when it comes down to it, you really have to figure out what's going to work best for you. If you hate down and you're never going to use it, go find a really good company that will build you a synthetic bag. If you don't want to use a mummy bag, I choose mummy bags. I want that tight fit. I want it to keep me warm because I do so much camping when it's really cold. If you want to use a top quilt, I completely understand. Just make sure you know what you're getting into, because these can be a pretty heavy investment. And really, this could be the difference between surviving or dying out there if it gets really cold. So don't go out and buy a cheap Coleman bag thinking that you're going to survive. Nothing against Coleman. It works great for most people in the middle of the summer. But if you think you're going to go out and it's going to get cold and there's potential for you to be in a place where if you're not warm, you're in danger, really think about what you want to do. How important is light to you? If it's not at all, there are so many bags out there that you can get that are so warm, but they're very heavy. So that, again, just like a backpack, just like anything, there are so many factors that you have to take in. Do your research. If you have any questions about the gear that I've used, or you want to talk about something, feel free to comment below or send me an email. I'm happy to try to answer questions. I am definitely no expert other than by spending a whole bunch of time outdoors and also being a photographer and videographer that loves to do outdoor stuff. So I do spend a lot of time, and you know, this is just something that I'd really recommend. Pay attention to. If you can find a place where you can go get into the bag, see if you like the way it fits. If not, make sure it's a place that you can send it back, because you might think you've got the greatest bag ever and you get inside of it and you hate it. You don't want to sleep in that, and you don't want to spend all that money to not be able to return it if you need to. You guys, I know this is a little different. It's gotten a little rough around here the last 2 weeks. I'm going to get back out into the outdoors in the next little while, maybe do a snow camping video. Soon enough, I'll be back down in southern Utah getting some more desert content. But we really appreciate you stopping by and watching the video. If you liked it, please click the like button. And if you haven't subscribed already, please think about it. If we've made you laugh, if you thought maybe this was some good information and you want to see what we're doing in the future, please help us by hitting that subscribe button. All right, be well, my friends.